Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle a really fun gardening challenge. How do you grow a classic Mediterranean herb like rosemary when you live somewhere with some seriously cold winters? Well, let's find out. So the big question is, can a sun-loving herb really make it through something like a Canadian winter? And the answer, maybe surprisingly, is absolutely yes. If you stick around, we're going to break down exactly how you can pull it off. But first things first, before we jump into the how, we really need to understand the why. Why is this even a challenge in the first place? So let's get to know our main character, the rosemary plant, and what exactly it's up against. Okay, so the heart of our challenge really comes down to this one term, tender perennial. And all that means is that in a nice warm place, rosemary will live for years and years, no problem. But one good hard freeze, that's all it takes. The plant just isn't built for the cold. And this slide, this really paints the picture, doesn't it? Rosemary is happiest in gardening zones 7 through 9, where winters are mild. A city like Ottawa, though, that's way down in zone 5. And that's not just a little difference. We're talking about a huge gap in winter temperatures that we have to figure out how to bridge. I love this because it's just the perfect way to think about it. You're not just planting an herb, you're basically hosting a guest who's used to the beach. Your job is to make them feel comfortable, and most importantly, you gotta bring them inside before the blizzard hits. So, how do we get started? Well, our hosting duties begin way earlier than you might think. The whole journey to a happy rosemary plant, it actually starts inside your house, long before the snow has even melted. It's all about giving it a safe head start. This timeline right here is basically your game plan. You want to get those seeds started indoors about 8 to 10 weeks before the last frost. That puts you right in that late February, early March window. And check out that sprouting time. It can take almost a whole month. So yeah, patience is definitely part of the recipe here. Now this is super important. You can't just go outside and scoop up some dirt from your garden. Rosemary absolutely despises having wet, soggy roots. We call it wet feet. That's why a light, airy, soilless potting mix is a must. It's not optional. It gives the plant the fantastic drainage it needs to feel like it's back home in the Mediterranean. So the actual steps are pretty simple, right? Nothing too wild here. You fill a pot, you poke the seeds just under the surface, give them a little space, and then, yep, there's that hard part again, you wait. Seriously, don't give up on them if you don't see little green shoots popping up right away. And remember, this is a sun-worshipping plant. So while it's living inside with you, you have to give it what it wants most. And that is at least 6 hours of bright, direct sunlight every single day. A really sunny windowsill can work, but honestly, a simple grow light is a fantastic investment to keep your little seedling from getting all leggy and sad. All right, so you've spent weeks nurturing your little plant indoors. The weather's finally turning around. It's time. Time to prepare your special guest for its big summer vacation out in the garden. I really, really cannot stress this enough. This is the golden rule. Even one unexpected little dip in temperature, one late spring frost, can completely wipe out all your hard work. You have to wait until you are 100% sure the cold nights are done. For a place like Ottawa, that's often not until late May or even the beginning of June. And you can't just, chuck it out into the yard and wish it luck. Your plant has been living a pampered, sheltered life indoors. Moving it outside is a huge shock to its system. That's why we have this process called hardening off, which is just a way of gently introducing it to the real world. And this is how you do it. Think of it like a training program. You start with just a couple of hours outside in a shady spot, out of the wind. Then, every day for about a week, you leave it out a little longer and give it a little more sun. It's a slow introduction that prevents shock and helps the plant toughen up so it can thrive all summer long. Okay, so we did it. We started our plant, we got it outside for the summer. But how do we make this a long-term thing? How do we keep our special guest happy enough to come back year after year? This right here, this is the secret. This is the single most important strategy for keeping rosemary alive long-term in a cold climate. You have to resist that urge to plant it directly in your garden. You've got to keep it in a pot. And here's why that container is your absolute best friend. It gives you total control. You can move it to the sunniest spot on your patio, you can guarantee its soil is perfect, and the most important part, when you hear that first frost warning in the fall, you can just pick it up and bring it back inside. It basically becomes a happy little houseplant for the winter, all ready to head back out again next year.
So there you have it. By playing the part of a really good host, starting it early, giving it the right home, and keeping that home portable, you can absolutely enjoy fresh rosemary even in the coldest of climates. It just proves that with a little bit of planning, you can make almost any garden dream a reality. So the only real question left is, now that you've cracked this code, what are you going to be inspired to grow next?